You don't walk into someone else's home without consequences.
The house was supposed to be empty when I got back from Pittsburgh. 3 days of dealing with contractors who couldn't tell a Phillips head from their own rear ends. And all I wanted was a cold beer in my own bed. Instead, I found a light glowing in our attic, a space that had been nothing but exposed beams and pink insulation for the 8 years Lana and I had lived here. My name is Bob Dunham, and I've been in construction long enough to know when something's not right. The attic light was definitely not right. I climbed the pull-down ladder, each creak echoing through the silent house. What I found up there made my stomach drop like a hammer through drywall. Someone had finished the space. Not just finished it, transformed it into a bedroom. A king-sized bed sat in the center, complete with Egyptian cotton sheets that cost more than my weekly paycheck. Empty wine bottles lined a makeshift shelf. The air smelled like expensive cologne and betrayal. On the nightstand, a card caught my eye. "We love you, Uncle Bob." Written in my daughter Mia's careful cursive signed by both kids. Uncle Bob, not Dad. Uncle. My hands shook as I picked up the card. 13-year-old Mia and 10-year-old Sam had been told to call someone else Uncle Bob. In my own house. In the attic I'd been promising to finish for years. I heard footsteps below. Lana's voice drifted up through the floor. "Bob, you're home early." Her tone was casual, but I caught the edge of panic underneath. "Just checking on our new room," I called back, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "What room?" I climbed down to find my wife standing in the hallway, wearing a silk robe I'd never seen before. Lana was 34, with the kind of polished look that came from expensive salons and a marketing executive's salary. Tonight, she looked guilty as sin. "The attic room. Nice work. When did you find time to hire contractors?" Her face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Right." I walked past her toward our bedroom, noting how she flinched when I got close. "I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow." But I wasn't going to sleep. Not yet. After Lana's breathing settled into the rhythm of fake sleep, I went back upstairs. This time, I brought a flashlight and my investigative skills, which, after 20 years of dealing with lying subcontractors, were pretty sharp. The cologne bottle was expensive. Tom Ford. I'd never owned anything that cost $200 unless it had an engine. Hidden behind the headboard, I found a USB drive labeled SK in neat handwriting. My laptop was in the garage workshop. I made the trip quietly, my bare feet silent on the cold concrete. The USB contained a folder labeled Our Future with dozens of text screenshots and photos. Messages between my wife and someone named Sean Keller. Messages that made it clear this wasn't just an affair, it was a complete life plan that didn't include me. "Can't wait until Bob's out of the picture," read one message from Lana. "The house will be perfect for us." "Your kids are warming up to me," Sean had replied. "Sam asked if I'd teach him guitar." "They already call you Uncle Bob. It's so sweet." I sat in my workshop until dawn, reading through months of planning. They discussed everything from custody arrangements to selling my tools. Sean Keller, according to his social media profiles, was a tech consultant who drove a BMW and lived in a downtown high-rise. He looked like the kind of guy who'd never changed his own oil. By the time the sun came up, I'd made two decisions. First, I was going to find out everything about Sean Keller. Second, he was going to regret ever hearing the name Dunham. I packed a bag and left it in my truck. Then I went back inside and made breakfast like nothing had changed. Lana came down at 7:30, dressed for work in a sharp business suit. "You're up early," she said, pouring coffee into her travel mug. "Couldn't sleep. Must be the new mattress upstairs." She froze for just a second. "What mattress?" "The one in our new attic bedroom. You know, the one you don't know anything about." "Bob, I think you might have had a bad dream." "Save it." I set my coffee cup down hard enough to make her jump. "I found the USB drive, Lana. I know about Sean." The mask finally slipped. Her carefully composed expression cracked, revealing something cold and calculating underneath. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. The question is, what are we going to do about it?" She straightened her shoulders, shifting into the confident persona she wore to board meetings. "We're adults. We can discuss this rationally." "Rationally?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You turned my kids against me and moved your boyfriend into my house. What's rational about that?" "The kids don't know anything. They call him Uncle Bob." The words came out louder than I intended. "In my own house, they call another man by my name." Lana glanced toward the stairs, checking to see if we'd woken Sam and Mia. Keep your voice down. Or what? You'll have Sean come over and tell me how to behave in my own home? She grabbed her purse and keys. I'm late for work. We'll talk about this tonight. No, we won't. Tonight, I'm going to be having a conversation with Sean. The color drained from her face. Bob, don't do anything stupid. Too late for that. I already married you. After she left, I called in sick to work. My crew could handle the job site for one day. I had more important business to attend to. Sean Keller's address was easy to find. Public records showed he owned a condo on the 15th floor of Harbor Towers, one of those glass buildings downtown that charged $3,000 a month for the privilege of living in a concrete box. His BMW was registered to the same address. License plate, tech guy, real subtle. I spent the morning doing reconnaissance, learning his patterns. Coffee at Starbucks at 8:15, gym at lunch, happy hour at Murphy's Pub on Fridays. He had the kind of predictable schedule that came from thinking you were untouchable. By afternoon, I had a plan. Pete Kowalski had been my best friend since high school. He was also an ex-firefighter who knew how to keep his mouth shut and didn't ask too many questions. When I called him at 2 in the afternoon, he could hear in my voice that this wasn't a social call. I need a favor, I said. What kind of favor? The kind where you don't want to know the details until afterward? Pete was quiet for a moment. This about Lana? How'd you know? Saw her at Murphy's last week with some guy in an expensive suit. Didn't look like a business meeting. That stung. Half the neighborhood probably knew before I did. Can you meet me at Harbor Towers? Parking garage, level B2. When? Now. Pete arrived 20 minutes later in his pickup truck. He found me crouched beside a silver BMW with vanity plates, holding a bag of sugar and a knife. Jesus, Bob, what are you doing? Teaching someone a lesson about boundaries. I poured the sugar into the gas tank while Pete kept watch. This belonged to the guy who's been sleeping in your house? Among other things. I slashed 2 tires, then used the knife to carve home wrecker into the driver's side door. He's also been playing daddy to my kids. Pete whistled low. That's cold, man. It's about to get colder. I pulled out a package of frozen fish from a cooler in my truck. Pop the hood. You're putting fish in his engine? Near the air intake. Give it a week, and his car will smell like low tide in August. We worked quickly, Pete acting as lookout while I sabotaged Sean's pride and joy. The whole operation took less than 10 minutes. By the time we were done, the BMW looked like it had been through a war zone. What's next? Pete asked as we walked back to our trucks. Now we wait for him to find it. I didn't have to wait long. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number at 4:30. I know this was you. We need to talk. I replied immediately. Parking garage, level B2, 5 minutes. Sean Keller looked exactly like his photos. Tall, lean, with the kind of artificially perfect smile that came from expensive dental work. He was standing beside his ruined BMW when I walked over, his face red with anger. You son of a witch, he said. Do you have any idea what this car cost? More than you're worth, I'm guessing. I kept my voice calm, hands loose at my sides. 20 years of construction work had given me an advantage in size and muscle mass that Sean clearly hadn't considered. Nice to finally meet you, Uncle Bob. He had the grace to look embarrassed. Look, this doesn't have to get ugly. It's already ugly. You made it ugly when you moved into my house and started playing father to my children. Lana said you two were separated. Lana says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. I stepped closer, and he backed against his car. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay away from my house, my wife, and my kids. You're going to pay to fix whatever damage your little love nest caused to my attic. And you're going to disappear from our lives like you never existed. Sean tried to puff up his chest. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. I'm explaining reality. I gestured at his vandalized car. This is what happens when you disrespect me in my own home. Next time, it won't be your car. Are you threatening violence? I'm promising consequences. There's a difference. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. While you're at it, explain to them how you know it was me. Tell them about the affair, the secret bedroom, how you've been manipulating my children. I'm sure they'll be very sympathetic. Sean's hand hesitated over his phone. He was smart enough to realize that calling the cops would expose everything he'd been trying to keep hidden. This isn't over, he said. You're right. It's not. I turned to walk away, then stopped. Oh, and Sean? You might want to get your car detailed. I have a feeling it's going to start smelling pretty bad in a few days. I left him standing in the parking garage, staring at his ruined BMW. It was a small victory, but it felt good. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of something. That feeling lasted exactly 2 hours. I was back home, sitting in my workshop and planning my next move, when Lana burst through the door. She was still in her work clothes, but her carefully styled hair was disheveled and her makeup was smeared. "What did you do?" she demanded. "I had a conversation with your boyfriend." "You destroyed his car." "I redecorated it. There's a difference." She started pacing, her high heels clicking on the concrete floor. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Sean had to call a tow truck. His neighbors saw everything." "Good. Maybe they'll warn their wives about him." "This has to stop, Bob. We're adults. We can handle this like civilized people." I laughed. "Civilized? You moved another man into our house and turned our children against me. That's not civilized. That's war. The kids don't know anything. Stop lying." I stood up, and she took a step back. "I read the messages, Lana. I know you've been planning this for months. I know about the custody arrangements, the financial planning, all of it. So don't stand there and tell me the kids don't know anything." Her face went pale. "You had no right to go through my private messages." "I had every right. This is my house, my family, my life you've been planning to destroy. I never meant for it to happen this way. But it did happen, and now you get to live with the consequences." She tried a different approach, softening her voice. "Bob, we can work this out, for the kids' sake. The kids are the only reason I haven't thrown you out already." I sat back down, suddenly exhausted. "But that doesn't mean I'm going to let you and Sean walk all over me." "What do you want?" "I want him gone, completely. No more secret meetings, no more phone calls, no more Uncle Bob. He disappears from our lives or I make his life very uncomfortable." "And if he doesn't agree?" I smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. "Then he's going to learn why you don't mess with a man's family." Lana stared at me for a long moment, as if seeing me clearly for the first time in years. "I don't know you anymore." "Good. The man you knew was a pushover. I'm not him anymore." She turned and walked toward the door, then stopped. "Sean won't be intimidated by your little pranks. We'll see about that." After she left, I sat in the darkness of my workshop, planning my next move. Sean Keller thought he could waltz into my life and take everything I'd worked for. He was about to learn how wrong he was. My phone buzzed with a text from Pete. "How'd it go?" I replied, "Round 1 to us, but this is just getting started." Outside, I could hear Lana on the phone, her voice carrying through the thin walls of our house. She was talking to Sean, trying to calm him down, making promises about how they'd handle me. Let them plan. I'd been in construction for 20 years. I knew how to tear things down and build them back up. And right now, I was in a demolition mood. The war for my family had begun. Mrs. Gabriel had lived next door for 15 years and knew everyone's business better than they knew it themselves. She was 72, recently widowed, and had perfected the art of strategic nosiness. If you wanted information in our neighborhood, she was the person to ask. I found her in her garden the next morning, pruning roses with the precision of a surgeon. "Morning, Mrs. Gabriel." She looked up, her sharp eyes taking in my appearance. I probably looked like heck. I'd spent most of the night staring at the ceiling, listening to Lana pace around upstairs. "Morning, Bob. You look tired. Haven't been sleeping well." "I imagine not." She snipped a dead bloom and dropped it in her basket. "That's a nice car your friend drives. BMW, very expensive. He's not my friend." "I know." She moved to the next bush. "I've seen him coming and going for months. Always when you're not home. Thought you should know, but it wasn't my place to say anything." The confirmation stung, even though I'd already known. "How long?" "Since March, maybe April. Started with just quick visits, then overnight stays. The children seemed to like him. That hurt worse than anything." Did they seem happy?" Mrs. Gabriel's expression softened. "Children adapt, Bob. Doesn't mean they don't need their father." I nodded, not trusting my voice. "If you need anything," she said, "I'm here, and I see everything that happens on this street." "Thank you." I spent the rest of the morning doing research. Sean Keller had a surprisingly large digital footprint for someone having an affair. His LinkedIn profile showed he worked for a tech consulting firm downtown. His Facebook was full of photos from expensive restaurants and weekend trips. His Instagram showed off his BMW, his condo, and his gym routine. What it didn't show was any mention of a girlfriend named Lana or 2 kids he was playing father to. I was deep in my investigation when my phone rang. The caller ID showed my brother-in-law's name, Mike Santos. "Bob, we need to talk." Mike was married to Lana's sister, Carmen. We'd been friends long before I married into the family, bonding over football and beer. His tone told me this wasn't a social call. What's up? Can you meet me for lunch? Murphy's Pub, 1 o'clock. This about Lana? Just be there. Murphy's Pub was the kind of place where construction workers and office drones mixed without incident. Mike was already there when I arrived, nursing a beer and looking uncomfortable. Thanks for coming, he said as I sat down. What's this about? He took a long drink before answering. Carmen knows about Lana's affair. How? Lana told her last night after you confronted her boyfriend. I ordered a beer and waited for him to continue. She's asking Carmen to back her up. Says you're being unreasonable, that you threaten violence. I never threatened violence. I know, but Lana's spinning it that way. She wants Carmen to convince you to go to counseling, work things out like adults. And what does Carmen think? Mike looked miserable. She thinks Lana's an idiot, but she's still her sister. She feels like she has to support her. What about you? I think you're getting screwed, and I don't like being put in the middle. He leaned forward. But I'm not going to let my wife get dragged into this mess. Whatever you're planning, keep us out of it. I'm not planning anything. Bees, I know that look. You had the same expression when Tommy Morrison keyed your truck in high school. Tommy Morrison had ended up with his own truck filled with concrete. It took him 3 days and a jackhammer to get it out. This is different. Is it? Because Carmen's worried you're going to do something stupid and end up in jail? I'm not going to jail. Then what are you going to do? I took a long drink of beer considering how much to tell him. Mike was a good guy, but he was married to Lana's sister. That made him a security risk. I'm going to make sure Sean Keller understands that actions have consequences. Bob, I'm not going to hurt him, but I'm not going to let him destroy my family either. Mike finished his beer and stood up. I hope you know what you're doing. So do I. After he left, I sat at the bar and thought about my situation. Lana was already working on damage control, trying to paint me as the unreasonable one. She was good at that. Manipulation had always been her specialty. In a few days, half our friends would be convinced that I was the problem. I needed to move fast before she could completely control the narrative. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We should meet. There's something you need to know about Sean. I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. Who is this? A friend. Murphy's Pub, back booth, 30 minutes. I almost ignored it. Anonymous messages were usually bad news. But curiosity got the better of me, and 30 minutes later, I was sitting in the back booth, waiting. The woman who approached looked to be in her early 30s, with short blonde hair and nervous eyes. She slid into the seat across from me without introduction. You're Bob Dunham. And you are? Someone who knows Sean Keller better than your wife does. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. It was Sean, but he looked younger, his arm around a brunette woman and a little girl. That's my sister Rachel and her daughter Emma. Sean was engaged to Rachel 2 years ago. Was? Until he cleaned out their joint bank account and disappeared. She put the phone away. Rachel spent 6 months trying to track him down. By the time she found him, he'd moved to this city and changed jobs. Why are you telling me this? Because he's doing the same thing to your wife that he did to my sister. The expensive gifts, the promises about the future, the way he bonds with the children. It's all part of his pattern. What pattern? He targets women with money and assets, gets them to trust him, fall in love with him. Then he takes what he can and moves on. I felt a chill run down my spine. How much did he take from your sister? $40,000. Plus he convinced her to put his name on the deed to her house. She lost everything. Jesus. Your wife has access to more than that, doesn't she? Joint accounts, property, investments? I nodded slowly. Lana made good money, and we'd built up substantial savings over the years. If she'd given Sean access to our accounts. I need to check something, I said, pulling out my phone. Our bank's app showed our checking account balance, $347. Yesterday, it had been over $15,000. Son of a witch. The woman, she'd never told me her name, leaned forward. How much? 15 grand, maybe more. I need to check our other accounts. He's getting ready to run. That's what he does when things get complicated. I was already standing up, my mind racing. I have to go. Wait, she grabbed my arm. My sister never got her money back. The police said it was a civil matter since she'd given him access to the accounts willingly. Don't make the same mistake. What do you mean? Don't let him disappear. Whatever you're planning to do it fast. I was halfway to my truck when my phone rang. It was Lana. Bob, we need to talk. You're absolutely right, we do. Where's our money? Silence on the other end. Lana, where's our freaking money? I can explain. You better. I'm coming home. Don't. I'm not there. Where are you? Somewhere safe. The line went dead. I stood in the parking lot of Murphy's Pub, holding my phone and trying to process what had just happened. My wife had cleaned out our bank accounts and disappeared. My children were God knows where, and Sean Keller was probably planning his exit strategy. The woman from the bar appeared beside me. They're gone, aren't they? Looks like it. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me find them. She studied my face for a moment, then nodded. My name's Jennifer Walsh, and I think I know where they might go. Jennifer Walsh had been tracking Sean Keller for 2 years. She had files, photographs, and a detailed timeline of his movements since he destroyed her sister's life. Her car was a mobile command center, complete with a laptop, phone chargers, and a cooler full of energy drinks. He has 3 go-to places when things get complicated, she explained as we drove toward downtown. A hotel he uses for business meetings, a storage unit where he keeps cash and fake documents, and a safe house apartment he rents under an assumed name. How do you know all this? I hired a private investigator. Cost me $8,000, but I learned everything about Sean's operation. She pulled into the parking lot of the Marriott downtown. This is where he brings his marks when he wants to impress them. The hotel was upscale, the kind of place that charged $300 a night for rooms that looked like furniture showrooms. We walked through the lobby like we belonged there, Jennifer confident and purposeful. He always uses room 1247, she said as we waited for the elevator. Says it's his lucky number. What if he's not there? Then we checked the storage unit. The elevator dinged softly as we reached the 12th floor. Jennifer led the way down the carpeted hallway, her footsteps silent. At room 1247, she pressed her ear to the door. I can hear voices, she whispered. I recognized one of them immediately. Lana's laugh, the one she used when she was trying to charm someone. The other voice was male, probably Sean. Now what? I whispered back. Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me an app. Audio recorder. We need evidence of what they're planning. We stood outside the door for 10 minutes, recording fragments of conversation. What we heard made my blood boil. Transfer went through this morning, Sean was saying. 43,000 total. What about the house? That was Lana. We'll need to wait until the divorce is final. Can't move too fast on the property. He's suspicious. He knows about the money. Doesn't matter. By the time he figures out what's happening, we'll be in Costa Rica. Jennifer grabbed my arm as I started toward the door. Not yet, she mouthed. Kids will adjust, Sean continued. They like me better than him anyway. Sam asked when we're going to move to your place permanently. Soon. Once their father's out of the picture. I'd heard enough. I knocked on the door. 3 sharp raps. Silence from inside. Room service, I called out, disguising my voice. More silence. I knocked again. Champagne delivery for Mr. Keller. The door opened to reveal Sean, wearing a hotel bathrobe and a shocked expression. Behind him, I could see Lana sitting on the bed in a silk dress I'd never seen before. Surprise, I said, pushing past him into the room. Bob! Lana jumped up, her face pale. How did you find us? I'm smarter than you think. I looked around the room, taking in the champagne bucket, the scattered clothes, the room service cart with 2 dinners. Nice setup, very romantic. Sean had recovered from his initial shock. You're trespassing. I'm calling security. Go ahead. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your little embezzlement scheme. I don't know what you're talking about. Jennifer stepped into the room behind me. Hello, Sean. The color drained from his face. Jennifer, what are you doing here? Stopping you from doing to this family what you did to my sister. Lana looked confused. Who's your sister? Rachel Walsh, Sean's previous victim. He stole $40,000 from her and disappeared. That's not true, Sean said quickly. That was a misunderstanding. Bees. Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed Lana the photo of Sean with Rachel and her daughter. This was 2 years ago. He was engaged to my sister, living in her house, playing father to her child. Sound familiar? Lana stared at the photo, then at Sean. You said you'd never been married. I wasn't married. We were just what? Just stealing her money and breaking her daughter's heart? Sean was backing toward the window now, looking trapped. Lana, don't listen to her. She's obviously unstable. I'm unstable? Jennifer laughed. You're the one who's been running cons for years. How many women have there been, Sean? How many families have you destroyed? This is different, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Lana was staring at him with growing horror. The money you transferred today, where did it come from? Your joint account? I said, $43,000 that we saved over 10 years. You said it was from your consulting work. Sean was sweating now. It was. Some of it was. Some of it. Lana's voice was getting higher. How much of it was ours? Does it matter? We're together now. What's yours is mine, right? Wrong answer. Lana's face went from pale to red in seconds. You stole from my children. Our children, Sean corrected. They'll be our children soon. Like Emma was going to be your child? Jennifer asked. Right up until you abandoned her? Sean made a break for the door, but I was ready for him. 20 years of construction work had given me quick reflexes and strong hands. I grabbed him by the bathrobe and slammed him against the wall. Where's the rest of the money? I don't know what you mean. I pressed him harder against the wall. The storage unit. The cash you keep for emergencies. Where is it? I'm not telling you anything. Jennifer appeared beside me with her phone. I already know where it is. Unit 247 at Secure Store on Maple Street. Same number pattern he always uses. Sean's face crumpled. You can't prove anything. Actually, we can. I held up my own phone, showing the recording app. We got everything. The theft, the plan to flee the country, all of it. Lana was sitting on the bed, staring at her hands. I'm such an idiot. Yes, you are, I agreed. But you're also the mother of my children. So here's what's going to happen. I turned back to Sean. You're going to return every penny you stole, from us and from Jennifer's sister. Then you're going to disappear from our lives forever. And if I don't, then I turn this recording over to the police and let them sort it out. I'm sure they'll be very interested in your pattern of financial fraud. Sean looked at Lana, hoping for support, but she was staring at him like he was something she'd scraped off her shoe. How could you do this to my children? She whispered. I love those kids. You love their trust fund, Jennifer corrected, just like you loved Emma until her mother ran out of money. Sean slumped against the wall, defeated. Fine. I'll return the money. All of it, today. I need time. You have 2 hours, I said. Meet us at the storage unit. Bring everything. What about us? Lana asked quietly. I looked at my wife, this woman I'd loved for 15 years, who'd betrayed everything we'd built together. There is no us anymore, but there are 2 children who need their parents to act like adults. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, and now we all have to live with the consequences. I started toward the door, then stopped. Oh, and Lana? The kids are staying with me until you figure out who you really are. As Jennifer and I left the hotel, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not for my marriage, that was over, but for my family, for my children, for the possibility that we could all survive this mess. Thank you, I said to Jennifer as we reached the parking garage. Don't thank me yet. Sean's not going to give up easily. Men like him never do. She was right. But for the first time since I'd found that attic light, I felt like I was the one in control. The war wasn't over, but I had won the first major battle. Sean Keller was 20 minutes late to our meeting at the storage facility. When he finally arrived, he looked like a man who'd been up all night making phone calls and moving money around. His BMW was gone, replaced by a rental car that screamed flight risk. Where's Lana? He asked as he got out of the car. Home with the kids, I lied. Actually, she was at her sister's house, trying to explain to Carmen why she'd nearly destroyed 2 families for a con man. Did you bring the money? He held up a leather briefcase. $43,000. Everything I took from your accounts. What about Rachel's money? I don't have $40,000 in cash. Jennifer stepped forward. But you have access to it. Maybe it'll take time. No more time, I interrupted. You transfer Rachel's money today, or I call the police. Sean looked around the storage facility like he was calculating escape routes. You're making a mistake. Lana loves me. Lana loves the idea of you. There's a difference. She chose me over you. She chose a lie over reality. When she figured out what you really are, that choice got a lot easier. He handed me the briefcase with obvious reluctance. This doesn't change anything between us. You're right, it doesn't. I opened the briefcase and checked the contents. Stacks of hundreds, just like he'd promised. Because after today, there is no us. You're going to leave town, change your name again, and find some other family to destroy. I'm not leaving. Yes, you are. Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed him the screen. I've been documenting your activities for 2 years. Bank records, photos, recorded conversations. I have enough evidence to put you in prison for a decade. You're bluffing. Am I? Want to test that theory? Sean stared at the phone, then at me, then at the storage unit behind us. What's in there? Your emergency fund, Jennifer said. The cash you've been skimming from victims for years. We know about it, Sean. We know about all of it. His shoulders sagged. What do you want? I want you to disappear, I said, completely. No contact with Lana, no contact with my children, no forwarding address. You become a ghost. And Rachel's money? Gets transferred today, full amount, plus interest. I don't have... You have it, Jennifer interrupted. In that storage unit in offshore accounts hidden in investments. I know how you operate. Sean was quiet for a long moment, weighing his options. Finally, he pulled out his phone. I'll need an account number for the transfer. Jennifer rattled off a series of numbers. That's Rachel's new account? 40,000 plus 2,000 interest. Fine. We watched as he made the transfer, Jennifer confirming the transaction on her own phone. When it was done, Sean looked like a man who'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Are we finished? He asked. Not quite. I pulled out my own phone and showed him a video. It was security footage from the hotel, showing him and Lana entering room 1247 together. Insurance policy, in case you get any ideas about coming back. You recorded us? The hotel recorded you. I just made a copy. I put the phone away. Now we're finished. Sean got back in his rental car without another word. As he drove away, Jennifer and I stood in the parking lot watching his taillights disappear. Think he'll stay gone? She asked. For a while. Men like him are cowards at heart. He'll find an easier target. What about Lana? That was the question I'd been avoiding. I don't know. Do you want to save your marriage? I thought about it for a long moment. I want to save my family. Whether that includes Lana depends on her. Jennifer nodded. My sister never got over what Sean did to her. The betrayal, the lies, the way he manipulated Emma. It destroyed her trust in everyone. I won't let that happen to my kids. Good. She handed me a business card. If you ever need anything, call me. Men like Sean have a way of coming back when you least expect it. I drove home with $43,000 in a briefcase on my passenger seat, feeling like I'd won the lottery and lost everything at the same time. The money was back, Sean was gone, but my marriage was still in ruins. Lana's car was in the driveway when I pulled up. Through the living room window, I could see her sitting on the couch with Mia and Sam, all three of them looking miserable. I sat in my truck for a few minutes, trying to figure out what to say. How do you explain to your children that their mother made a mistake that nearly destroyed their family? How do you rebuild trust that's been shattered? Finally, I got out of the truck and went inside. Dad! Sam jumped up and hugged me like I'd been gone for weeks instead of hours. Hey, buddy. I ruffled his hair, noting how Lana watched us with red-rimmed eyes. Mom said Uncle Bob had to go away, Mia said quietly. That's right. Are you and Mom getting divorced? The question hung in the air like smoke. Lana was staring at me, waiting for my answer. Your mom and I need to have some grown-up conversations, I said finally. But no matter what happens between us, we both love you very much. But are you getting divorced? Mia pressed. I looked at Lana. She was crying now, silent tears that she tried to wipe away before the kids noticed. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe. Sam started crying then, and Mia wrapped her arms around him protectively. Seeing my children's pain because of choices their mother and I had made was like taking a knife to the chest. Why don't you guys go upstairs and watch a movie? I suggested. Your mom and I need to talk. After they left, Lana and I sat on opposite ends of the couch, the distance between us feeling like miles. I'm sorry, she said finally. I know. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did. She wiped her eyes with a tissue. He seemed so different, exciting. He made me feel young again. And I made you feel old. No, yes, I don't know. She looked around our living room with its family photos and kids' artwork and 15 years of accumulated memories. I felt trapped, like this was all there was. This is our life, Lana, our family. I know. And I threw it away for a man who was stealing from our children. She started crying harder. How do I live with that? The same way I'm living with the fact that my wife preferred a stranger to me, one day at a time. We sat in silence for a while, listening to the sound of the kids' movie playing upstairs. What happens now? She asked. Now you move out, we get lawyers, we figure out custody and support and how to divide 15 years of marriage. And us? I looked at this woman I'd loved since we were both young and stupid and thought we could conquer the world together. There is no us anymore, Lana. You made sure of that. What if I fight for the kids? Then you'll lose. I have recordings of you planning to take them to Costa Rica. I have evidence of you stealing from their college funds. No judge in the world would give you custody. Her face went white. You recorded us? I recorded everything. Your boyfriend taught me the importance of documentation. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. You've changed. Yes, I have. The man you married would have forgiven you, taken you back, pretended none of this happened. That man was an idiot. And this man? This man protects his family, even from their mother if necessary. Lana stood up slowly like she was carrying a great weight. I'll pack some things. Take your time, but be gone by tomorrow. After she went upstairs, I sat alone in my living room, listening to the sounds of my family falling apart. Footsteps overhead, drawers opening and closing, muffled conversations between Lana and the kids. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Transfer confirmed. Rachel got her money back, thank you. I replied, thank you for helping me save my family. Did you save it? I looked around the room, at the family photos that would need to be updated, the Christmas stockings that would need to be taken down, the life that would need to be rebuilt from scratch. I saved what mattered most. An hour later, Lana came back downstairs with 2 suitcases and a box of personal items. She stopped at the front door and turned back to me. I really am sorry, Bob. I know. Do you think, someday, could you ever forgive me? I thought about it for a moment. Maybe, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean going back. She nodded and walked out the door. I sat in my empty house, listening to the silence, and realized that for the first time in months, I felt at peace. The war was over. I'd lost my marriage, but I'd saved my children and recovered my self-respect. It was a trade I could live with. 3 months later, I was sitting in my workshop on a Saturday morning, teaching Sam how to use a drill press, when my phone rang. The caller ID showed Jennifer Walsh's name. Bob, we have a problem. I stepped away from the machinery, leaving Sam to practice on a piece of scrap wood. What kind of problem? Sean's back? My blood went cold. Where? Portland. He's got a new identity, new job, but it's definitely him. My contact at the PI firm spotted him last week. New victim. Divorced mother of 2, real estate agent, owns her own agency. He's been dating her for 6 weeks. I walked outside so Sam couldn't hear the conversation. What do you want me to do about it? Help me stop him, before he destroys another family. Jennifer, I appreciate what you did for us, but her name is Michelle Torres. Her kids are 8 and 10. He's already moved into her house. I closed my eyes, picturing another family going through what we'd experienced. Send me the details. You'll help? I'll help. 2 days later, I was on a plane to Portland with a carry-on bag and a manila folder full of evidence. Jennifer met me at the airport, looking tired but determined. How do you want to handle this? She asked as we drove toward Michelle Torres's neighborhood. Same way we handled it before, fast, clean, and final. Michelle Torres lived in a suburban development that looked exactly like 1,000 other suburban developments across America. Her house was a 2-story colonial with a well-maintained lawn and a BMW in the driveway. Sean's BMW with new license plates. He's not very creative, I observed. Creatures of habit, Jennifer agreed. He's using the name Steve Kent now, but everything else is the same. Expensive gifts, promises about the future, bonding with the children. We parked across the street and waited. At 3:30, a school bus stopped in front of the house and 2 kids got off. A boy who looked about 10 and a girl who was probably 8. They ran up the driveway, backpacks bouncing, looking happy and carefree. 20 minutes later, a silver Lexus pulled into the driveway. A woman in a business suit got out, followed by Sean, or Steve, or whatever he was calling himself now. He was carrying flowers and wearing the same charming smile I remembered from the hotel room. That's her, Jennifer said. Michelle Torres. Divorced 2 years ago. Ex-husband moved to California. She's been raising the kids alone. until Prince Charming showed up. Exactly. We watched as the family went inside together, Sean's arm around Michelle's shoulders, the kids chattering excitedly about their day. It looked perfect from the outside, just like my family had looked perfect before I found the attic light. "What's the plan?" Jennifer asked. We tell her the truth, show her the evidence, hope she's smart enough to listen. And if she's not, then we make it impossible for her to ignore. The next morning, I was waiting in the parking lot of Michelle Torres's real estate office when she arrived for work. She was an attractive woman in her early 40s with the kind of confident demeanor that came from running her own business. She looked happy in a way that made what I was about to do feel cruel. "Miss Torres, my name is Bob Dunham. I need to talk to you about Steve Kent." Her expression immediately became guarded. "Are you a client of his?" "No, I'm someone whose family he destroyed." She started walking toward her office, keys ready. "I don't know what you're talking about. His real name is Sean Keller. He's a con artist who targets single mothers with assets. He did to my wife what he's doing to you." She stopped walking and turned to face me. "That's ridiculous." "Is it? How long have you known him?" 2 months. "How much money have you given him access to?" Her face went pale. "I haven't." "Joint checking account, credit cards, investment accounts." She didn't answer, but I could see the truth in her eyes. "Miss Torres, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to save your family." "Save us from what?" I pulled out the manila folder and handed it to her. "From making the same mistake my wife made." She opened the folder reluctantly. Inside were photos of Sean with Rachel Walsh, printouts of his text messages with Lana, bank records showing the theft, and a detailed timeline of his activities over the past 3 years. "This can't be real," she whispered. "It's all real. He's done this before and he'll do it again. The only question is how much damage he causes before you figure it out." Michelle Torres sat down on a bench outside her office, staring at the evidence. He said he'd never been married. He wasn't married, but he was engaged to Rachel Walsh, living in her house, playing father to her daughter, just like he's doing with you. The money he's been contributing to household expenses probably came from his previous victim. That's how he operates. He uses one woman's money to impress the next one. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" "Call the police in my city. Ask them about Sean Keller, or call Rachel Walsh. Her number's in the folder." "What do you want me to do?" "What I wish my wife had done. End it before he destroys your family." Michelle stared at the folder for a long time, then pulled out her phone. "I need to make some calls." 2 hours later, Jennifer and I were sitting in a coffee shop when Michelle Torres walked in. She looked like she'd aged 10 years since our morning conversation. "I called Rachel Walsh," she said, sitting down across from us. "What did she say?" "Everything you told me, and more." She pulled out her phone and showed us a screenshot of her bank balance. "He took $12,000 yesterday, cleaned out my business account." "I'm sorry. My kids adore him. They've been asking when he's going to officially become their stepdad." Jennifer leaned forward. "That's what Emma asked, too. Right up until Sean disappeared." "What am I supposed to tell them?" "The truth," I said. "That sometimes adults make mistakes and sometimes people aren't who they pretend to be." Michelle started crying then, quiet tears that she tried to hide behind her hands. "I thought I was smarter than this." "Intelligence has nothing to do with it. He's a professional. This is what he does for a living. How do I get my money back?" "You probably don't," Jennifer said gently, "but you can make sure he doesn't take any more." We spent the next hour planning Michelle's confrontation with Sean. Unlike my situation, where emotion and anger had driven my actions, this would be calculated and strategic. We had evidence, witnesses, and the element of surprise. At 6 o'clock that evening, I was hiding in Michelle's garage when Sean's BMW pulled into the driveway. Through the window, I watched him get out of the car, straighten his tie, and walk toward the front door with the confidence of a man who thought he was in complete control. He was about to learn otherwise. Michelle met him at the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" "Great. I closed the Henderson deal. We should celebrate." "Actually, I have something to show you first." She led him into the living room, where Jennifer was waiting with her laptop open and a stack of printed documents on the coffee table. "Steve, I'd like you to meet Jennifer Walsh. She has some interesting things to tell us about your past." Sean's face went white when he saw Jennifer. What is she doing here? Learning about your previous relationships, Michelle said calmly, especially the one with her sister Rachel. I can explain. I'm sure you can. You're very good at explaining things, like how you explained where that $12,000 went. Sean looked around the room like a trapped animal. Michelle, whatever she told you, she didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. Deep down, I mean. The inconsistencies in your stories, the way you avoided talking about your past, the fact that you never let me meet any of your friends or family. It's exactly what it is. Michelle's voice was getting stronger. You're a liar and a thief, and you've been using my children to manipulate me. That's when I stepped out of the kitchen, where I'd been listening to the conversation. Hello, Sean. Or do you prefer Steve now? He actually tried to run, made it 3 steps toward the front door before I blocked his path. Sit down, I said quietly. We need to talk. For the next hour, we laid out everything we knew about Sean's operation. The pattern of targeting single mothers, the financial manipulation, the way he used children as emotional leverage. Michelle asked questions, Jennifer provided documentation, and I made sure Sean understood that his options were limited. Here's what's going to happen, I finally said. You're going to transfer Michelle's money back to her account. All of it. Then you're going to pack your things and leave town. Tonight. And if I don't, then we call the police and let them sort it out. I'm sure they'll be very interested in your pattern of financial fraud across multiple states. Sean looked at Michelle one last time. You're making a mistake. I love you. No, you don't. You love what I represent. Financial security, a ready-made family, a comfortable life. But you don't love me and you don't love my children. That's not true. If it wasn't true, you wouldn't have stolen from us. Sean slumped in his chair, defeated. Fine. I'll return the money. We watched as he made the transfer, Michelle confirming the transaction on her phone. When it was done, she looked at him with a mixture of sadness and disgust. I want you out of my house in 30 minutes. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Just go. After Sean left, Michelle sat on her couch and stared at the evidence scattered across her coffee table. How do I explain this to my kids? Carefully, I said. And honestly. They're going to be hurt, but they'll recover. Kids are resilient. Will they trust me again after I brought someone like him into their lives? Eventually, if you're honest with them about what happened and why. Jennifer started packing up her laptop. What will you tell them tonight? That Steve had to leave unexpectedly for work. I'll figure out the rest tomorrow. As Jennifer and I prepared to leave, Michelle walked us to the door. Thank you, she said. Both of you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come. You would have figured it out eventually, I said. The question is, how much damage he would have caused first. Will he do this to someone else? Probably, but at least it won't be you. On the plane back home, Jennifer and I talked about the future. Think we should make this a regular thing? She asked, tracking down Sean, warning his victims. I don't know. Part of me thinks we should just let the law handle it. The law didn't help Rachel, or you, or Michelle. She had a point. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that sometimes the system fails, and regular people have to step up and protect each other. I thought about my children, safe at home with my ex-wife's sister while I was across the country playing vigilante. I can't make this my full-time job. I have kids to raise. I'm not asking you to, but if Sean surfaces again, we'll deal with it. Jennifer smiled. Good. As the plane descended toward my home city, I thought about the strange turn my life had taken. 6 months ago, I was a construction supervisor with a cheating wife and a crumbling marriage. Now I was a single father who spent his free time tracking down con artists. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was a life I could be proud of. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam. Dad, when are you coming home? Mia made cookies and they're really good. I smiled and typed back, landing in an hour, save me some cookies. For the first time in months, I was excited to go home. #. Epilogue. 6 months later, I was installing kitchen cabinets in a client's house when Pete called with news that made me drop my drill. Turn on Channel 7, he said. You're going to want to see this. I found the homeowner's TV and switched to the local news. The anchor was standing outside a courthouse talking about a federal investigation into financial fraud. Behind her, in handcuffs, was Sean Keller. Arrested this morning on charges of wire fraud, money laundering, and identity theft. Federal investigators say Keller, who used multiple aliases, targeted single mothers across at least 6 states, stealing an estimated $400,000 over 3 years. I sat down heavily on the client's couch, staring at the screen. They were showing his mugshot now, and he looked older, more haggard than the last time I'd seen him. The investigation began when multiple victims came forward with similar stories of financial manipulation and fraud. Keller is being held without bail pending trial. My phone rang. It was Jennifer. "Are you watching the news?" "Yeah. How did this happen?" "Michelle Torres went to the FBI after we left Portland. Turns out they'd been tracking reports of similar crimes across the western states. Our evidence was exactly what they needed to build a case." "So it's over?" "It's over. He's looking at 20 years minimum." I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief mixed with a strange kind of sadness. Sean Keller had destroyed my marriage and nearly ruined my family, but seeing him in handcuffs didn't bring the satisfaction I thought it would. "Bob, you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here, just processing." "I know, it's weird, isn't it? After all this time, it almost feels anticlimactic." Almost. That evening, I was helping Mia with her homework when she asked a question that caught me off guard. "Dad, do you ever miss Mom?" Lana had moved to Denver 6 months ago, taking a job with a marketing firm there. She called the kids every week and visited once a month. Our divorce had been finalized 2 months ago, with joint custody but the kids living primarily with me. "Sometimes," I said honestly, "I miss the person I thought she was." "Do you think she's happy?" "I hope so. People make mistakes, sweetheart. Big ones sometimes. But that doesn't mean they can't learn from them and become better." "Do you think she learned from her mistake?" I thought about my last conversation with Lana during her most recent visit. She'd seemed different, quieter, more thoughtful. She'd asked about my life, about work, about whether I was dating anyone, not with the jealousy of an ex-wife, but with the concern of someone who genuinely wanted me to be happy. "I think she's trying to," I said. "Good. I want her to be happy too." Later that night, after the kids were asleep, I sat in my workshop and thought about the past year. I'd lost a marriage but gained self-respect. I'd discovered that my children were more resilient than I'd given them credit for. I'd learned that sometimes the best way to heal from betrayal is to help others avoid the same pain. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Saw the news about Sean Keller. Thank you for everything. Michelle Torres." I replied, "Thank you for having the courage to go to the FBI. You saved a lot of families. Maybe we can all move on now. Maybe we can." I was about to put the phone away when another message came in, this one from Lana. "Saw the news. Are you okay?" I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "I'm good. Kids are good. Hope you are too." "I am. Thank you for everything. For not giving up on our family, even when I did. The kids needed their father. I just did what fathers do." "You did more than that. You saved us all, in different ways." I didn't respond to that. There wasn't anything left to say. A year ago, finding that attic light had felt like the end of the world. Tonight, it felt like the beginning of something better. Not the life I'd planned, but a life I'd chosen. A life where I protected the people I loved and stood up for what was right. It was enough. I turned off the workshop lights and headed inside, where my children were sleeping safely in their beds. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to be the man I wanted to be. I was ready for all of it.